Hey Michaela, it's nice to meet you. My name is Mark Debrincat and I am a student nurse studying at Western Sydney University. Today I will be answering the 3 questions from SetA.
As a registered nurse or registered midwife, which factors do you think are important for team communications and documentation? Provide an example from your own clinical practice.
I believe that in order to work effectively and efficiently as a nursing team, it is crucial that all members of that team are able to communicate not only with each other, but with all members of the healthcare team in both a succinct and accurate manner. I believe that accuracy is an important factor for effective communication because it ensures that the specific details of a situation are clear and concise, which mitigates the risk of speculation and reduces the risk of assumptions being made. By being accurate as nurses, it also ensures our own legal protection, and especially with regards to documentation, as this serves as a legal record for the care provided. I believe that confidentiality is also an important aspect of communication because it is our responsibility as nurses to respect our patients' privacy and confidentiality when sharing and documenting sensitive information. This can help to protect our patients' safety. An example from my own placement experience occurred when I was assigned to care for a patient with whom I'd become an acquaintance with a few years earlier. I made sure not to disclose any of the patient's sensitive information to anyone outside of the medical team. Furthermore, this patient also wanted to have access to the television but was unsure how to set it up for himself, and so I was entrusted with entering his debit card details into the system, and I displayed confidentiality by not taking these details and using them for my own personal gain. By doing the right thing in this situation, I created an environment that exhibited patient safety. I believe that timelessness in nursing is also another important factor when it comes to effective communication within a nursing team. It is important to arrive to your allocated shift on time in order to receive a handover from the nurse responsible for the patient's care. An example from my own placement experience occurred when a nurse wasn't present to receive handover at the set time, and so the nurse giving the handover ended up giving it to another nurse who was not going to be responsible for that patient, and then asking that nurse to give the handover again when the absent nurse arrived. I came to realise that this was becoming like a game of Chinese whispers, and that important information would be lost when the handover was being given by a secondary nurse who did not know the intricate details of caring for that specific patient firsthand. Therefore, in order to ensure the continuity of care, I believe that timelessness is a vital part of efficient nursing communication.
A fellow registered nurse/registered midwife has undertaken actions which place a patient/woman at risk of harm. What professional, ethical, or legal issues would you consider, and what actions would you take?
When a fellow nurse makes an error, it is important to consider how it will affect you, the patient, and the nurse themselves. Ethically, you should correct the nurse, but professionally, you may not want to humiliate them. But it also needs to be considered that legally, it is our responsibility to ensure that the nursing standards of practice are being met. Now, this is always a tough situation for me to be in personally, because it is not in my nature to be confrontational or to pull someone else up when it is not my place to do so. But whilst my personality does not like correcting others' mistakes, I do have the internal fortitude to do it when the time is right. An example from one of my own placement experiences was when I was buddied up with a graduate nurse in his first year of practice, and it became obvious that his style of nursing was to do everything as quickly as he possibly could, which inevitably was going to lead to errors because he would cut corners and not follow proper protocols in regards to the standards of nursing practice. The nurse I was with made 2 medication errors within the space of 5 minutes, but thanks to my hypervigilance, I was able to identify the second error, and then I inquired about it and he realised his fault. The first error occurred when the nurse failed to perform the second patient check whilst administering an insulin injection. The nurse merely went to the bed number that he thought the patient would be in and insisted on giving the medication, but the error was corrected by the patient themselves, who stated that they do not normally receive this type of medication and thus they refused it, and then the nurse realized that he had gone to the wrong patient. But the error wasn't picked up because the nurse failed to carry out the second patient check. The next error which I picked up on occurred when there was a 40 milligram order for a certain medicine, and then I noticed that there was only 20 milligrams of this medication within each vial which needed to be drawn up, and the nurse failed to draw up the second vial, and so I inquired curiously about the medication order and how much medication was needed, and this then prompted the nurse to realize his error, and so subsequently he corrected it. Ultimately, I realized how important it is to perform the necessary medication and patient checks when administering medicines in order to prevent errors from occurring. And I also learned that there are different ways in which you can correct people. I choose to be nice about it by not making a scene, but merely inquiring curiously about the error, as opposed to embarrassing a fellow nurse or berating them.
How do the New South Wales Health core values of collaboration, openness, respect and empowerment relate to your role as a registered nurse or registered midwife? Provide an example from your clinical practice.
The New South Wales Health core values of collaboration, openness, respect and empowerment are, in my opinion, reflective of what we should all try to embody as nurses working within our state's health system. The value of collaboration refers to people from all walks of life coming together as one and working towards the common goal of providing the best healthcare experience that is possible. During my clinical placement, I observed collaboration amongst interdisciplinary teams when I noticed that the doctors, the nurses, the dietitians and the physios would all come together in order to develop an optimal patient care plan. The value of openness refers to a state of mind where we as nurses are comfortable to share ideas and communicate clearly with all our colleagues, including those from other interdisciplinary teams. An example from my placement experience occurred when my buddy nurse noticed that the presiding doctor had made an error, and initially she was scared to correct him, but eventually she offered the constructive feedback and the doctor received it openly. The value of respect requires that we accept each person for who they are and treat them with the same dignity, kindness and respect, regardless of how unique they may be. For whilst we may all come from different places and speak in different tongues, our hearts beat as one. An example I have witnessed was when a patient was told by the security guard that they needed to sit down, and the patient respected the security guard enough to obey his orders. The value of empowerment encourages us as nurses to take pride and responsibility in our performance and the standard of care that we deliver to our patients. For we should take pride in our achievements whilst also reflecting on what could have been done better. An example from my placement experience occurred on International Nurses Day when all staff members working at the hospital were offered a free breakfast and lunch during their shift. I felt empowered in this moment to go back upstairs and deliver the best care that I could to my patients on that day.